now I'm going to film day 13 through day 23, 10 days in one video. So I'm sorry if they're going to be shortened. I'll try my best to explain everything that happened, but it was a long time ago, so I apologize for that. If I have the pictures, they will be up when I'm talking about them or after. If I don't, I apologize. Some days I did forget, but there were some days I forgot and then I took a picture of someone else's, but most of them are all of mine, of what I made. So let's jump right in. So day 13, we made a tomato sauce with noodles, and we actually when we were doing noodle cookery, we did like noodles that you buy at the store, and then the next time we made fresh noodles. So I'll talk about that in this video too. But for today, we made tomato sauce with just dried noodles. We also made a red pepper coulis. I don't know how that's exactly how you pronounce it, but so red pepper, it was basically like red peppers and some seasonings and stuff, and you blended it and then you strained it, and it was a sauce, but it could be used as like a tomato sauce, and it was completely vegan. So it was vegan, or if you wanted to add cream, it could be vegetarian. So it was kind of like a different type of red sauce type of thing. And then we also made an emulsified vinaigrette, which is basically just a vinaigrette. We learned about the different types of emulsifications. So like mayonnaise is technically a semi-permanent because it can break. Mayonnaise is a debate, but like hollandaise is semi-permanent. The ones that are a temporary emulsification are like when you go to the store and you see vinaigrettes and they're like separated, and like you shake them up and then they're together, but like 10 minutes later they're separated again. So that's a temporary emulsification because there's nothing in it that's holding them together. A semi-permanent is when you have an ingredient holding them together. So in hollandaise, it's the egg yolk and the vinegar. In mayonnaise, it's the vinegar and the mustard. In the vinaigrette that we made, it's mustard. Dijon mustard. And it was like Dijon mustard, vinegar, shallots, oil, something like that. Just a simple vinaigrette. We mixed that up, whisked that up, and then we put it over some leafy greens. So, and then we did a really cool tasting of it. Instead of doing like a normal tasting where we went back and forth from like when we just went to the chef, it was a whole group of us, and we tasted the spaghetti, and then we tasted the salad, and we kind of tasted them back and forth, and we noticed what they did different things in your mouth, and then we added some oil, some really expensive oils in it, on top of it, and we added Parmesan cheese, and how that changed the flavor. It was really interesting. So, then day 14. Day 14 was actually our cooking or midterm. So we had a test, and then we had the cooking part. We had a written test, and then we had the cooking part. So for that, we made the consommé, the hollandaise, the espagnole, mayonnaise. Yeah, and that's it. And so we all started at different times. Oh, for the hollandaise, we put that over blanched broccoli, so it wasn't just hollandaise sauce. Everything turned out great. My one downfall was my consommé wasn't great. And it was kind of cloudy. And yeah, but other than that, it was really good. We started at different times. So we had our cooking exam, and then once you finished, I had like a half hour to an hour time free to I wrote down notes, and I saw what other people were doing, and I made sure I had everything, and I got it together. and then you would jump right in, and your first thing is for the first like 10 minutes, you can only gather equipment. So that whole time you're just gathering equipment, you're running, or not running, but like you're going around the whole kitchen, gathering the equipment you need, because if you forget one equipment and someone else takes it, you don't have it. So you have to make sure you have all the equipment you need right then. And then it starts the time where you can start gathering ingredients, and you have like 10 minutes for that. So you start gathering ingredients. You have to know the measurements you need and everything that you need for that. You measure out everything for that, and then you start cooking. I believe I don't exactly remember, but I believe I did I did all my prep work first. I cut everything that needed to be cut, so I can put my cutting board away. So then I had a clean, good station. I made my consommé first, and I was letting that sit. And then I made my espagnole, because those two things you kind of let sit. You have to watch them both, but for the most part, you can just let them sit. And then I started making my mayonnaise. Mayonnaise was done. I served it as soon as it was done. Got that out of the way. And then hollandaise. Then I started working on my hollandaise. While my hollandaise was sitting, a little bit, because that you have to be careful with that. I blanched my broccoli. I set that in an ice bath. And then I let them dry, and then I put them back just to keep them warm. Made sure while they were drying off, I continued with my hollandaise, and then I served it, and then that was done. One thing I really liked that I did when I got all my plates, I pre-labeled all of my plates with my name on them, so when I was done, I could just serve it and go. I didn't have to take the time to write my name on it. So that was that. It was done, and then I strained my I'm pretty sure I strained my espagnole sauce at that point. I strained my espagnole sauce. I put it in a deli container, and then a little bit on a plate, and then I had that plate, and I served it, and it was done. And then my consommé, I blanched the vegetables for my consommé. I took out the raft, and I served it, and it was done. My consommé wasn't that clear, and but it was last minute, and I finished with like a minute to spare, so that was good. So yeah, that is 2015, one of my favorite days. Everything we made was really good. We actually kind of made a lot that day. So one thing I'll say is every day from this point on, I believe, we made tournée potatoes, which are potatoes with 7 sides, and they're 2 inches long, and they're skinnier on both sides, and then in the middle they're about 3/4 of an inch, maybe less. And you kind of just like have to go around and you make them. Some days we got to make them, some days we ran out of time too, so if they're in the pictures, that's what they are. If they're not, we didn't get time to make them. So anyway, that day we made glazed beets, which I loved the glazed beets, and I actually made them for my family on Thanksgiving, and they loved them too. And then we also made braised red cabbage, and we basically put everything together, put in the cabbage, and then we stuck it in the oven, and we kind of just like let the oven do its thing. And then we made potatoes gratin, which in my family we called them au gratin potatoes. We made those, like the thin cut tomatoes with the sauce. It was delicious. Mine didn't turn out the best. I needed more liquid, but I ran out of ingredients to make it, so I was really sad, but they were good. And then we also made Duchess's potatoes. I believe that's how you say them. It was basically kind of like a thicker mashed potato that we made. I believe we added like an egg yolk into it, or something. Like it's not as creamy as a mashed potato, like when you're making the dough part, or the mashed potato portion, I guess. And so you mix it together. It's the same ingredients but less of them, so that it's not as like fluffy. And then you put it into a piping bag and you pipe them in almost like a cupcake swirl. And then at that point you can put them in the refrigerator until you need them to be done. And then you stick them in the oven until they're golden brown, and they are so good. They're basically just like a fancy mashed potato. They were delicious. Day 16, we made rice pilaf, which, like, we made it from scratch, like, everything. I don't know, it was good. It wasn't my favorite. It could have been more flavorful. Like, I made it how the chef wanted it, but in my taste buds, it could have been more flavorful. And rice pilaf, you kind of mix it, let it come up to a simmer. You add seasonings on top you put the rice in, add seasonings on top, and you stick it in the oven. And it's in the oven, and when it's done, you take out the seasonings, you mix it up, and you kind of fluff it up, and then you serve it. It was pretty easy. The next thing we made was Parmesan risotto, which I love risotto. It's my favorite, and it's easy for me to make because my mom has been making it forever. So my mom and my sister, so I'm pretty familiar with Parmesan risotto. My favorite part about making the risotto was at the end of making the risotto. We had a bunch of risotto left, and risotto is not something that you can heat up once it's made and still be the best quality. Like, at home we would just put it in a microwave, but at school we don't even have a microwave. So and served to students, it had to be some sort of like, it had to be made like good. I guess it's all made good, but like, I don't know. So everything we have left over we give to the people in the kitchen that's in charge of specifically for breakfast, lunches, and dinners. So we actually cut them into squares, put them in egg in flour, in egg, and then in panko breadcrumbs, and then we put that on sheet pans, and then we gave them to the people in the kitchen. And a couple days later, they fried them, and we had them for breakfast. It was so good. I loved them. We also made jardiniere vegetables, which are, it's basically because of the kind of cut they are, and then you also do them in a butter water emulsification sauce. That day we also made 2 different kinds of sauces. We did Marchand Divin and a Robert sauce. There's one that's specifically for like pork chops and like stuff like that, and then the other one, I believe the Robert one, is for like meat and like steak and like stuff like that. We actually broke up into teams of 2, and then one person made one sauce and one person made the other sauce. I made the one for meat because I knew I'd probably use that one more. So that was that day. Again, if I have pictures of what we made, I will put them up. If I don't have them, I apologize.